Let me ask you something. Should Raditz come back? That is the question that's on everyone's mind after they saw what looks like to be a new manga leak. But I'm asking you guys this question seriously because I know there are some fan mangas, a lot of fan mangas out there, some really famous ones like Dragon Ball R&R that do have Raditz basically coming back in one way or another. And I do think that having members of Goku's family returning is an interesting concept, but it is kind of weird that Raditz is one of the only ones, including Nappa, that has not really made any sort of return in Dragon Ball whatsoever. It almost feels like just the mention of Raditz is completely gone from Goku's mind, and he doesn't even remember the character or that it's his brother at all. He's got no connection to him, which makes sense. I mean, he didn't threaten the human race, and he also threatened his son. So let's talk about the new scan that has everybody acting up, and that is this. It's not even an entire full scan. It is basically Raditz floating in some sort of, I don't even know, like maybe like a stasis chamber or some sort of rejuvenation pod, something along those lines. And we see here our boy Carmine holding some sort of like activation button or something along those lines. Just from this alone, it looks like it is legit. It looks very legit, honestly. Honestly, it keeps up with the Toyotaro like artwork. I mean, if you look at this and you look at this, it looks very similar. But there are a few things that are off with this picture. Let me know in the comment section below if you guys can see what things are off with this picture. I'll give you a second. Alright, first and foremost, in the top and on the bottom, we see Android 21. This character in Dragon Ball Super or Dragon Ball's origin and Dragon Ball's mythos is dead. She is gone. She was married to Dr. Gero. We saw that in Dragon Ball Super Superhero. Dr. Hito is her son. So she's completely gone unless she comes back as an android, which she has not yet. And it would be a lot to add if she was an android, if they did bring her back, which I honestly, as a character, I wouldn't mind seeing in the actual canon level events. But besides that, I mean, she has not come back yet. So that's the first dead giveaway that this is not real. It's actually really funny because Dragon Ball Super Superhero, before it came out, there were some like leaks that said that, you know, this was on the end credit scene, which it never happened. So I like that they actually made a manga panel for this. The second dead giveaway is the way that Carmine is represented here. Carmine looks like Carmine, but not like Toyotaro's Carmine. Doesn't look very similar to him. He's much more slender. He's wearing a trench coat. Like, it's just a completely different artwork for Carmine. My guess, I couldn't find where this artwork came from, but my guess is that this is just a Dragon Ball fan manga. I don't think this is a long fan manga. This actually could possibly be just a snippet, but I do like it a lot, especially the details on Raditz here. You see right here in his chest, like that giant hole, that gaping hole right there, that is completely healed. And it seems like something believable. And the face that Raditz is making while his eyes are closed, that to me screams Toyotaro 110%. The artwork is fine, but this is not real. So a lot of people are dragging this around the internet saying that it's real. It's not real. This is not part of the leaks that are coming out. But it got me thinking, how could this be a leak? How could this possibly be something that we could see in Dragon Ball Super's arcs? Like, say this is how the new arc started. What one of the new arcs started, say after the next one or something along those lines, because maybe Carmine doesn't, you know, go to jail in this new one. Maybe he escapes. You know, Carmine seems to be the only bad guy left on Earth, apparently, that, you know, is from Dragon Ball Super Superhero. So how could this work? Well, the way they have it set up right here, it looks like they're trying to basically bring back Raditz and have him be almost like Cell Max was. And that's really the main issue. You can't have this sort of type of situation happen and have it be something fresh and new, because we just saw this with Cell Max. Cell Max was reborn. Raditz is essentially in this. It doesn't seem like he's reborn or resurrected. It mainly seems like he is rejuvenated. Like they picked him up off the battlefield and they have him in stasis and they healed him up. So in this picture, this is not a new Raditz that is like cloned or anything like that, because obviously he's still got the injury. This is obviously old Raditz and he's just being healed and he's sleeping essentially. So that in and of itself is where this type of storyline could wholeheartedly deviate. into something far more interesting than Dragon Ball Super Superhero ever was. And that is that Carmine attempts to do the exact same thing, maybe like an old project. Say this is an old Red Ribbon project where they found this alien, they rejuvenated him, they healed him, they have him in stasis, and they're keeping him on the back burner for something else. And so he's like, you know what, I lost Cell Max, I lost Dr. Hito, I lost Magenta, and now I don't have these superheroes that can fight Gohan. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and find this program of this Saiyan, this alien thing, and see if maybe he will listen to me, or whatever the case might be on that. And so say that's the premise. He's trying to be just like everybody else, just like those that came before. He doesn't learn his lesson, and it's just like, oh man, we're just gonna get like the same thing as Dragon Ball Super Superhero. But when he turns Raditz on, or when he unleashes him from his sleep, Raditz wakes up and he's like, who are you? And just destroys and torches the place like Mewtwo did in the first Pokemon movie. Just completely annihilates everything in sight. I'm talking about full level destruction, like almost like Nappa did to that one city when they landed. But it would be really interesting to have Raditz's power be not detected by most of the Z Squad, because he is at such a low level of power that it's just, you know, it's something that's not really like on their radar, kind of like, or at least whatever the case is. I mean, they made excuses for why Goku didn't sense Beast Gohan, so whatever excuse you want to make, nobody senses it because maybe he's too weak. Remember, he's from like the beginning of Z, so he's trying to figure out how the world works, and so he seeks out Goku. When he seeks out Goku, maybe then he catches Goku training with Gohan. He realizes that's Gohan. He sees them going into Ultra Instinct, Beast Gohan, and so he realizes that he is completely just outgunned here when it comes to power. Like he's not able to read their power because he doesn't have a scouter, but he can feel the pressure from it. He can see the transformation. He's like, yeah, this seems like they're both turning into some sort of Super Saiyan, and I can't deal with that. I can't handle that. And so this is where it can go one of two ways. Number one, he searches for Vegeta, finds Vegeta, and then Vegeta basically tells him like, hey, you know, we're good guys now, basically, and you're gonna need to like either be a good guy or get out of here. That could be one way. That would be an interesting way. I would love to see a Raditz and Vegeta meet up. A second way would be that he literally just walks up to Gohan and Goku and is like, hey, I'm back, and it tells them what happened, and maybe, you know, is like talking to them, like asking them like what level of power, what year is it, how long has he been out, things like that. And so he kind of like sort of integrates into the family. And so what we could have here is a really interesting dynamic where Raditz is not much of a the arc is not much about fighting, but it's more about training and him realizing what's his purpose here, and just like living on this planet, and if he wants to go and find Frieza maybe, or find employment somewhere else. Ultimately, you can have like some sort of like weaker villain or alien come down to Earth, or whatever the case is, and have him either decide to be a hero or not be a hero. There could be so many different ways to go with this, and so many different interactions. So this would be a cool arc in and of itself, especially with the premise starting out very similarly to the old arc. But let me know in the comments below what you guys think of this. I think it's a really good idea, but I mean, this is fake, but I think that would be a really cool idea.
Subscribe for more content.